this is FantasyEsque and welcome back to the Sims 4 Vampire Amazon Royal Saga with the Salazar Coven. I have to tell you guys, I am hella excited in this episode and it has nothing to do with the story, but I can't get to it just yet. It was the result of an update that I completely missed. I've been seeing the little headline for the update on the main page of this game for days now, possibly weeks, I don't even know, but I've always been skimming over the top of it. And today I was just like, you know what, let's read what the hell the headline says. And I jumped into the game, I tried it out, and I was so excited, and still am so excited. It's changed everything for me. My excitement for Sims has just been renewed, and I'm saying not just the series, Sims in general has been renewed by this one update, but I'll get to it in a second. Before we dive in, I do want to talk about what we saw in the mini-movie, because we had some fascinating scenes. Right, we began with Delphi and Estelle with her beautiful green eyes outside the castle. Estelle was getting a message delivered from the Queen by Delphi saying that they cannot delay the ritual anymore. She has to, go through with it, get cut off from the bloodline, because currently she's, walking around as a composite, which is a bit dangerous. And Estelle, we kind of saw, was actually resentful of the fact that she was being forced to lose her eyes so that everyone else could enjoy relative safety. And she wasn't really asked about her opinion, how she felt, whether or not she wanted to go through with it, or find another alternative, possibly leave the Empire, go to the visitant lands. Who knows? She was not asked. She was just told, this is what's going to happen, this is what, we expect you to do, go and do it. And not even given time to adjust that idea. The Queen just said, I want it done, and she had to get it done. So she was kind of upset about that, and Delphi was trying to empathize with her, but at the end of the day, Estelle said, your words are empty because you are no composite. We're not the same. Even though we're both spellcasters, we are not the same. Afterwards, we had a throne room scene with the priestess, who is the one to lead the ritual. As it was with Chance. So obviously we kind of skipped over the physical ritual itself. We've already seen how it goes. We know how it goes. She was cut off from the bloodline, and Lexi was just reporting back to the Queen with Estelle, saying that she is safe. She's not a composite anymore. She's not a danger. And Estelle, with her black eyes and dark circles, looked at the Queen and said, I'm no longer a threat, Your Majesty. And I feel like there is a lot of she's just not happy. She's not happy. There is resistance when it comes to Estelle having to go through with this, and even though she's had to have it done, and it is done now, for her the loss of a bloodline means more than just being cut off from the visitant side. Being cut off from the bloodlines means that she is cut off from her father's side as well as her mother's side. That Valenka part of her identity, her mother, that's all gone, and she does not appreciate it one bit. And the Queen was a little businesslike, she was saying, don't take it personally, Estelle, it was necessary for everyone's safety. And Estelle said, of course it was, but we know, I think we can tell she ain't too happy about it. So there was that, and then we had a scene between Qaira and Diana, who was being trained by her favorite sister. And Qaira was saying, you're doing really great, Diana. At this rate, you'll be a master in no time. Currently, she's a prime vampire, guys. So I have been working on her behind the scenes, and she's making fast progress. But Estelle was reminding her not to rush it too much because her health is important. And then she kind of excused herself and went off to do some other things. But Diana, under her breath, said, no, sister, not if I want to be like you. So it seems as though Diana is quite determined to be just like Qaira. Now, I'm a little bit worried that she is going to start bordering on obsession and neglect her health and neglect herself, almost losing what makes her to become Qaira. And that could be dangerous. We'll have to see. I mean, this sweet relationship could end up developing into an unhealthy obsession to be like her older sister. I don't know. We'll have to see. Also, guess who aged up into a child? Our 6th child. And Lost Princess, Ice, has aged up into a child, and she's presenting herself to the court over here. So we're going to take a look at her. But guys, the thing that has me so flippin' excited. Ceilings. Flippin' ceilings. Now, there's some parts that, unfortunately, I can't get to for some reason. It's gonna just stay white. But, guys, ceilings! I am so excited. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of the times in my mini-movies, if I'm shooting something indoors, I will usually have the camera low enough so that you don't see the ceiling, because for me, it takes me out of the immersion of being in a fantasy world, in a fantasy building, or, you know, in a stone castle or fortress, so much when you've got stone all around, you've got all these beautiful materials, and then you have a white ceiling. That's like a modern thing. It completely throws me off, and I don't like it. So when I try to shoot the mini-movies, I always have like the camera low enough so that the white part, or as much of it as possible, gets cut out, and we don't always see it. But then the problem happens, like, one of the things I absolutely dislike, this is just, you know, videography problems for me, but one of the things I dislike is when I'm trying to be creative with my angles, and I'm shooting, like, from outdoors, I can't be low enough because then I see the white ceiling, and sometimes I kind of just have to say, okay, screw it, just deal with it, it's not that much of a problem, that's fine, I'll just ignore it, hopefully everything else looks beautiful, and hello, Channing! But anyways, I'm going through this problem, and I completely overlooked the fact that there was an update on the ceilings, so I read it while I was on the main menu, and I was like, no way. So then I jumped in and I tried it, and it is beautiful. I love it so much. But do you guys feel the same? Because this is how I feel. I mean, you take anything with the ceilings that I have now, if I were to like line up a shot that includes like all of this, there were certain angles I could never do because the white ceiling just ruins everything. Whereas now I can be a little more creative, and I can actually capture like a whole room, and I can capture, you know, the room with the ceiling and the floors, and it makes the space look so much better. Just because we have a ceiling that's not white, it looks flippin' good. So I am hella excited about the potential for creativity I have with that now. Like shooting stuff from outdoors through windows, I don't have to be worried about the white ceilings anymore, except for like patches in some places like the throne room and I think the temple. I don't have to flip and worry about having certain angles like indoors because now I'm not trying to hide the ceiling. The ceiling is beautiful. Guys, is magical to me. Is magic. Look at this. It's magic. I flippin' love it. And now I'm just like thinking of the future castles we're gonna have and how I'm gonna make those, what I'm gonna make with those, the next generation, and you know, that excitement in turn has led me to this place where I feel as though we are kind of getting ready to move on to the next generation. So if the story starts picking up the pace a little bit more, if the characters, they start, you know, aging up a little bit faster, and I don't mean I'm going to prematurely age them, of course not, I never do that, but if I'm starting to play a lot more off camera before I shoot the episodes, that's because I think I'm getting ready to say, like, wrap up this generation, say goodbye to it, and move on to the next one. I feel like we've told a lot of stories with these guys, and yeah, there's still some stories to be told. The 3 youngest princesses are still, you know, they're still in training, so I'm sure there's still stories to be told, but I don't want to drag my feet with it too much, especially because at this point, I mean, we've hit 69 episodes, and these episodes, you know, they're 40 minutes long, 40 minutes to an hour, depending sometimes, so it's a generous-sized video, and I feel like we're kind of reaching that point where we're getting ready to say sayonara and move on with things. But okay, guys, let's dive on in and take a look at Princess Ice, our final princess. So here she is, guys. Here she is, our lovely Ice. She is a cheerful little girl. So I kind of like the idea that she, from the get-go, has kind of known where her alignment will be. It's always been with Bloom and with Eve. And so she's always sensed... like she's had this sense of comfort, and like because she knows exactly where she belongs, she knows exactly where she's gonna go and exactly who she's gonna hang out with, and you know, as the youngest also, she just has nothing but love for everyone. She hasn't really faced any of that, you know, discrimination for being a visitant, mainly because I think her circle has been quite confined to the, you know, caretakers at the creature cradle, the brood mother who doesn't really care about those things, and then her two sisters that are trying to cocoon her and make sure that she is growing up the way that they feel is right to grow up. So she, you know, hasn't been faced with anything that makes her second guess life or second guess people in general. So I just imagine her being like this really naive and really cheerful little girl, and I love that. And she finds that happiness from knowing where she belongs, but at the same time, she's not quite like Bloom. Bloom, I imagine, tries her best to take initiative, be active, and like do stuff to impress Eve, whereas Ice, I think, is happy to interact with everyone, but at the end of the day, she knows home is with Eve and Bloom. So that's kind of what we have going on here. She's got the same genetics as Bloom, like exactly the same. Their fathers were twin brothers, and they, you know, they've got the same mother, they're half sisters. They've got the same purple eyes, the purple hair, the light skin. The only difference is that Ice has freckles, which I think is so cute, like freckles along her nose. And I think she's got Eden's eyes. I'm not entirely sure about the rest of her face. She might have her father's lips. I'll have to see as she gets a bit older. But you can already see she and Bloom, in terms of features, they do look quite different. You could tell when they were toddlers, but there we go. That is a little Ice. And I don't think I got her to join our group, which I should be doing. So let's invite Ice. There we go, excellent. So now we have like a full group in Eve's companions over here. So that's all good to go. But guys, the reason everyone is actually in the throne room is not because of my excitement for the ceilings. No. We are here in the throne room because it is the council reappointment, and it is time for the queen to decide who is going to serve on her council and help to advise her on matters in this next season. Now, previously we had Guinevere as one of the queen's council members. Lagatha was the other one, and she ended up dying, and the queen never replaced her, so Guinevere was kind of advising the queen alone. But now the time has come to see who is going to take on the mantle of being, you know, the queen's counselors now. Is Guinevere going to have her position renewed or not? I'm not entirely sure. We also have, you know, a bunch of new members since the last time we held a reappointment, and then we have two of our princesses become immortals, so, you know, they could serve. Now, before we dive into this, because we have the potential of Qaira and Juno serving as well, I do want to talk really quickly about some of the opinions we have been having about the two eldest princesses. So I find it very fascinating and striking that a lot of you have said this, that you see Juno as emotionally weak, and you see that she has become derailed since Sage's death, and Qaira is the queen material. Qaira is the one who's more, queen material at the moment. And that's who kind of your vote is behind. Which I find very interesting, because that is completely the opposite of my opinion. And it's really cool to see how different people think of the way the characters are developing, based on what we see happens. But I personally feel like Qaira and Juno started off on like a great note when they were teens. They were both, really competitive, and honestly, contesting with each other about, the potential to become the next queen. And they were very serious about their training and always trying to outdo with each other. But, along the way, Qaira also had like that secret romance with Channing. And then when they became immortals, which, they had a very close gap between, because they were born close together, so that close gap in terms of their aging. When Qaira became immortal, I feel like she had accomplished everything she wanted to accomplish. So she did enter a healthy romance with Channing. But at the same time, I don't think that fire to be heiress is something that continued to burn in her. I feel like by the time she became an immortal, she was kind of ready to wash her hands of expectations, because in her mind, she had already met everyone's expectations. And so I feel like, yes, Qaira might have, like, she might be going through a healthy mourning period for Channing, but, because that wasn't an obsessive love, she's kind of not being crippled by it, I suppose. But at the same time, I don't think there's a fire in her to be the next leader. I think over time that has kind of died, and she's kind of just riding on her reputation as heiress. That's how I feel about Qaira. Whereas for Juno was going really great as a teen, and then when she became an immortal, she became obsessed with Sage. She fell in love with, her cousin Sage, and then she became very distracted from, trying to beat Qaira and trying to be the next leader, the next potential queen. She kind of became very distracted from all of that, and she was busy thinking about Sage and, kind of chasing after Sage, and then she got caught up in this relationship with Azora and such. So she kind of started going all over the place, and then when Sage died, she went into a sort of depression because she was that in love with Sage, and she kind of just completely let go of herself for a bit there. But then when Elaine came to her to figure out, who killed Sage and to get justice for him, I think getting justice for Sage reignited the fire in Juno to do something more with herself. And looking at the way that she has actively participated in trying to solve the mysteries that have been happening and taking initiative to actually get stuff done, like Guinevere, tells me that Juno is the more appropriate one to be queen, because even though she went through that derailment, even though she went through an obsessed love story, even though she went through that depression, she's come out of it stronger now. And she's actually, she's got fire in her eyes, and she wants to achieve things, she wants to do things. She's not happy kind of just sitting at the back and letting her reputation do the work for her, which is what I feel like Qaira is doing. So, I don't know, guys. I have to disagree on the fact that Juno is the more emotionally vulnerable one. I personally feel like, yes, Juno might be really passionate when it comes to love, but she is by no means, socially naive. She just isn't. And, the potential for her to also make a match with a demon prince and, falling in love with the demon prince, getting manipulated by a character like that, I don't see it happening with Juno, just because we have to remember she's also a genius. She's one of the only people that actually knows Elaine's true colors. And she was taught by Elaine for a bit when she was younger. She was getting groomed by Elaine, but that kind of backfired on Elaine because Juno was smarter than she expected. But if Juno is doing things with someone, then it is of her own volition. I feel like it's very hard for people to manipulate her into doing things, because at the end of the day, she's grown up understanding social politics, and she knows how people work, and she knows how things work, and how to be aware of that. Whereas Qaira is someone who I see more of being socially naive at times, just because I think, personally I feel like she's probably more intelligent than Eden, but I think for Qaira, because she's lived her life in a certain way that is honorable, and also been involved with people like Channing who are honorable, and Guinevere, you know, as much as she's necessarily evil, she is also quite honorable. And you do things in an honest way out in the open. If you want to challenge someone, if you want to be someone's rival, you do it out in the open. So I can see Qaira giving people the benefit of doubt. And, you know, maybe there are people that don't operate the same way, and so they might take advantage of Qaira's trust like that. I see that happening more with Qaira than I do with Juno. I feel like Juno's the type of person who's always, like, second-guessing and questioning people. She's not paranoid, but she is very, very aware. I feel like out of the two of them, she's gonna pick up on people, like, taking advantage of her emotions more easily. So that's kind of where I'm at with the two princesses, and I really wanted to talk it out because I think it's interesting that our thoughts on Qaira and Juno are kind of going in different directions at this point. But okay, let's not waste any more time. And let's go ahead and see who the queen is going to select as her very first advisor. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the princesses, you know, they are the two immortals that could also serve, potentially. But I've said this in the comments, how interesting would it be if one of these princesses actually became a part of the Queen's Council? Wouldn't that be an amazing way to kind of show everyone that, yes, I am really good queen material and leader material because I am kind of getting experience learning under the queen right now. I'm helping to advise her. So, you know, when my time comes, I'll know how to do things a lot better than my competitors because they didn't get the experience of serving on the council. So that might not be the case, but I'm actually quite excited to see who the queen's first council member is going to be. So let's go ahead, let's check her relationships with the household. And oh my goodness. Okay. Well, it seems as though, guys, we have Qaira, Juno, and Guinevere who could potentially serve on the Queen's Council. So it's going to be between these three. But who between these three? Because all of these relationships are full. All of them. So let me actually go ahead and see if maybe there's a way I can devise to see who would have the closer relationship with the queen. Let me go and check. Either that, or I'm going to have to figure out maybe like a skill, like maybe check their skills, and the queen, based on that, is going to see as to who will help her. I don't know. Let me go ahead and work something out and I'll see, but essentially it's between these three, Qaira, Juno, and Guinevere. Okay, we are back. I have had to think about the way this is going to work, because the council will be made up of either Juno, Qaira, or Guinevere, like two of them, right? So the queen has decided that because Guinevere was already serving beforehand, and she was happy with the work that Guinevere did, especially because if you think about it, during her time as advisor, she, along with Lagatha, worked together to, you know, bring Azora to justice. So that is a positive note. That is a tick for her. So the queen is gonna select Guinevere as her first advisor and have that role kind of renewed. So Guinevere is going to take her seat at the council. So let's go ahead, Guinevere. Let's take your seat. She's going to be the first council member that the queen picks. Honey. There we go. Go on up. Nice. And now we have to select between Qaira and Juno. Now, because the queen feels as though Qaira and Juno are both, they're both great candidates to be an advisor, and she's happy for either of them to serve. She's been quite impressed by both of them during this last season. She cannot make her mind up, so what she's going to do, she is going to leave the decision, I suppose, to Guinevere. So she is going to she's going to ask for Guinevere's judgment, her opinion and her advice, like her recommendation, I should say. She's going to ask for Guinevere's recommendation between Qaira and Juno. So what we're going to look at now is to see who has the closer relationship with Guinevere, because then it makes sense to me that Guinevere would recommend that princess to serve alongside her on the council. Now, we know that she's been essentially raising up Qaira and grooming Qaira to become the next queen forever. She considers Qaira almost like her own daughter. But also we've noticed that of late she has been quite impressed with the way Juno's been doing things, and her mind has slowly started shifting to thinking that maybe Juno has become the princess that she always wanted Qaira to be raised into. So who is she going to pick? Who does she have a closer relationship with? Who is she going to recommend to the queen? So let's take a look at the relationships, and it is clear as day. So Qaira is the one that has an unbreakable relationship with Guinevere, and so Guinevere is going to recommend Qaira to be the queen's second counselor and serve alongside her in the court. So Qaira, she is going to be selected by the queen. She is going to get up and she is going to sit on that second council chair. This is quite exciting, because it's the first time we're having one of the princesses serve in the council. Oh my goodness. Well, congratulations, Qaira! Congratulations. The queen is quite happy with that decision, and Guinevere is also quite pleased with the way things are going. Now, obviously, the others, I'm not entirely sure how everyone feels about Juno and Qaira just yet, but Qaira is the heiress. She's the one that everyone loves and everyone's been looking at to be the next queen. She's the one they expect will take on the throne. So I think it's an understandable decision by everyone. And, as far as they're concerned, she is a good choice. So they're probably quite pleased with this. Now, obviously, when we're going through the council reappointment and, who could be on the council and the queen's choices, we know these things, but it's not like the queen discusses with everyone. She kind of just makes the decision and announces it. So Juno might not actually know how close she was to serving on the council, but I feel like a part of her is going to be, jealous of Qaira, because she's the one who called the secret council. She's the one who worked with Guinevere and Lagatha mainly. Qaira just tagged along to do things. She's the one who confronted Elaine with Guinevere and tried to find out about Chance. Like, she's the one who's been doing things, and she's been trying really hard to prove herself. So I don't know, she might find it a little bit annoying that at the end of the day, Guinevere and Qaira were chosen to serve on the Queen's Council. So people obviously wouldn't know that the three of them were in line to, be chosen, or they were kind of in the lottery to be chosen, so to speak. But the queen would have announced for Guinevere, and then the queen would have told everyone that I'm going to take Guinevere's opinion, or going to take a recommendation for the next member. But obviously they wouldn't have known the candidates the queen had in mind or anything like that. And so Guinevere would have recommended Qaira. So who knows? Juno might feel as though it's kind of unfair that she wasn't recommended by Guinevere, because she thought she was actually working quite well with the champion, and she was, proving herself, and the champion was recognizing that. But lo and behold, her sister, who, is riding on her title as heiress, is the one who was chosen. But hey, hopefully Qaira works really well with Guinevere and they get stuff done together. Also, when Qaira was young, she followed Guinevere quite closely. I mean, towards the later stages, I think she became a little bit frustrated that she had to hide her and Channing's relationship because of how strict Guinevere was, and then when she became an immortal and made things official with Channing, she distanced herself from Guinevere a little bit because she wanted that freedom. But I'm happy that both of them are on the council right now, because I feel like this is a good chance for them to repair their relationship. Not that it was super broken or anything, but I feel like they've become distanced over time, and I kind of want them to use this to become closer with each other. And hopefully, especially because of this new match that's being made for Qaira, her mother's, forcing her into this new relationship, she's gonna maybe start feeling a strain on her relationship with Eden, and maybe this will be a great time for Guinevere to slip in and, be the mother that she always felt she was to Qaira, and be the one who understands her in this difficult time. So, hey, there was a lot of stuff we had to discuss, but hey, there were exciting things happening, guys. But okay, let me turn autonomy back to full so everyone can essentially go about and do what they want. We shall call over, if they're not already. They're with us, actually, I think. I think everyone is more or less with us. Well, the youngsters aren't, so we'll call the youngsters over. So they can spend some time in each other's company. And let's take a look at how everyone's going. Okay, Bloom seems to be fine. I find it really cute that the first person she wants to go and chat to is her sister Bloom. No. So we'll see more of her, surely as time goes on, and we'll get to see more of her personality and her story. But, okay, Bloom, she's been why is Bloom? Bloom is so thin. Oh my goodness. Guys, do you see this? Bloom is so thin. Is she thinner than Ice? Where is Ice? Can they stand, Okay, Ice is thin, but why does it feel like Bloom is about to become nothing? Why are you you're like sticks? And, honey, are you eating well? She's so thin. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, she needs to get some meat on her bones. Seriously, child. I'm a bit concerned. But okay, Nixon. She's been wanting to be friends with Nixon for ages. I'm sensing a potential romance, but I don't know where Nixon is. Nixon? Do you want to come over, maybe? I don't know if he's going to join us. Nixon? Bloom wants to befriend you. Can you come and participate? Maybe he's not in the mood. I mean, they're children. It is midnight. He probably has academy tomorrow. He might not be in the best mood for this. I'm sorry, Nixon. If you don't feel like coming, that's fine. We'll deal with other stuff. Okay, yeah, he's sleeping. He's like, now. Fine then, Nixon. Fine. Who else do we have? Okay, Diana wants to chat with Lady Elaine. So why not? Elaine is a scholar, and maybe Diana feels as though there's some important pieces of information she could receive about, their family history from the scholar, which makes a ton of sense, actually. So let's go find Elaine, especially, because she's an art lover, and one of you lovelies, were saying that the art lover trait could possibly mean for Diana that she might be like a keeper of traditions, and stuff like that. And I kind of really like that image of Diana being the one who guards the old ways and guards the way that ancient Salazar life was and possibly should be. So when the princesses are starting to diverge in terms of cultures at this point, she's from the side that's keeping the Salazar way of doing things alive, which I like. Elaine, okay, Elaine's coming on up. We'll go ahead and we'll chat to her, and we'll ask her for some exciting tidbits. Maybe she wants to know more about Aphrodite. And yeah, you're also saying that ever since, and I feel the same way, guys, ever since Aphrodite, her look, like her face, her particular face, has somehow become the standard Salazar look that we all associate with the name Salazar. It's changed through the ages, but I completely agree with you. The downturned eyes, and the strong jaw, like that's become kind of the Salazar look. And then I feel like, where is Eden? Where is Eden? I feel like also the big lower lip, so the downton eyes, but the small downton eyes, the big lower lip, the strong jaws, that's kind of become the Salazar appearance. So I also like the fact that the princesses are changing things. They're destroying these appearances. To hell with it. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, did you get to chat with Elaine? Did you? No, you didn't. Elaine, where'd you go? Oh, Elaine's out here looking for misery. Of course she is. Let's gossip about the ancient vampires. Because that's something you would want to do, of course. Are we going to go out? Is Elaine going to come inside? Elaine is hopefully going to come inside. Actually, hold on a second. Sometimes these simmies, they don't like listening, and they have a very bad habit of being all over the place. So I am going to see if I can get her to, console her about death. Why not? I mean, Elaine probably really isn't that sad about these people having died, but Diana doesn't know that. Diana's just gonna go and she's gonna try and console Elaine. But also, maybe in consoling her, she gets really curious about her grandmother, and she asks Elaine what she knows about how how Aphrodite looked when she was young, and, maybe talking a bit more about some of these past characters. So, I liked it a lot. Very lovely, very lovely. And let's see, Delphi. She's been wanting to chat with Prince Darrell. And he is here on the premise, thank goodness. She's been doing a great job, I feel, of containing her desire for him. Personally, I feel like she's been doing a really good job. We know that it can be a struggle sometimes to keep things hidden, especially when they are kind of involved. Why the heck not? When they're involved in things they really shouldn't be, or they're in relationships that aren't acceptable to the rest of the coven, and they're having to hide their relationships, just like Eve is having to hide what's happening with Darrell, and I'm just realizing that she's wanting to talk to Darrell, not George. My bad. I mistook her for Eve. I do that sometimes, but no. Darrell is, one of the people that he's in the same secret circle with Delphi and Eve and George, so they kind of all understand each other. So fair enough, she might want to talk to him about something. And let's see, Eve wants to be friendly with Eden. Of course she does. I think seeing what just happened, the fact that, Qaira got that position, and all of that, obviously Eve is too young to have served. She's not an immortal yet, but by the time the next council reappointment comes around, she will definitely be an immortal. And I think she's starting to see value in actually getting closer with Eden. I mean, thus far, she's been keeping a little bit of a gap between them, but I think she's starting to realize that maybe I shouldn't be all high and mighty and distant from Mother Dearest, because how am I going to serve on the council and get the same experience as Juno if I'm constantly putting Mother at arm's length? I need to make sure that I am close enough and have her trust enough to be one of her counselors, one of her choices. So I think, after having seen what she did just then, she's gonna try and chummy up to Mummy a little bit more. I think that's what Eve is doing right over here. So let's go seek out the Queen. And guys, it's just so nice to have a household with all of our simmies. This is the full household. We don't have any more Sims that have to join us. This is it. This is it, guys. This is our full household, and we are now going to, raise get to a stage where we can wrap up this season and move on to the next one. So the stories largely will probably be focused on the princesses. But are we chatting with Mother? Yes? Okay, good. Good, we're being friendly with her. And then she also wanted to chat with Lady Lexi, the priestess. So let's go ahead and give the priestess a compliment, because the priestess recently did another ritual. What is the priestess doing? Is she busy? Not particularly. Okay, let's go find the priestess. Let's go find the priestess. We'll give her a compliment because she did a really good job with Estelle. And, you know, even though Estelle is a composite and that's like a totally visitant thing, and, you know, she's not happy with that, and, I mean, people could see it as visitants being attacked, Eve is cold enough to not care about that, because in the grand scheme of things, decisions like that is what is going to make her appealing to the masses within the Salazar Empire, and that's kind of what she's aiming for. So she's totally on the priestess's side, and she's totally on the side of the queen in wanting the composites to be dealt with. So, yeah, it's very fascinating to see all the princesses starting to, you know, hurry up a little bit and get a little bit anxious because of all these responsibilities, because of the aging up, and they're not too young anymore, you know, they're not little girls anymore. They're getting older, they're getting up in that space with enough of them where they are having to get into the social politics, they're having to get into the murky waters and fight for their right, so to speak. But okay guys, with that said and done, I am going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. We'll have to see what happens when we come back next time. We do have some things lined up. For one, we need to do a reading for Princess Ice. We also have the Royal Tournament coming up, so that should be quite exciting for us. And then, of course, Diana is training in the background. And guys, look, just like I said. I was saying maybe Saturday or even Sunday, but Ice's birthday falls exactly 1 week after Bloom, which means at the current rate that Eve is training, Diana is training, I should have Diana ready to wrap up, or, you know, have Diana be a Grandmaster by the time Bloom ages up, and then I'll have the week to do the same with Bloom. So she'll be a Grandmaster, fingers crossed, before Ice ages up, and then I can focus on Ice. So I think we're really good in terms of the spacing for their births. It's kind of perfect. But okay guys, with that said and done, I'm gonna leave off. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.